realness.
Before I do that, I did have some feedback to somebody. I was like, oh, it's very awkward how you allow the people to introduce themselves. Well, this is my podcast. Do what I want to do. And for me, I want the people to introduce themselves. I don't need to give a soliloquy, a dissertation. I don't have to do a long, drawn-out background. Who better to introduce someone than the person themselves and meeting folks where they are? So what I'm hearing is literally this is an app that provides an opportunity for people to preserve recipes. Is that what it is at its core?
Precisely. I want people, if they don't download my app and use it, I just want people to be able to find some way that works for them to begin preserving those recipes, because I don't want them to have to feel that pain and say, oh man, I didn't get to do this thing with them. Yeah. And so it's not only just preserving that, you get that experience, you get that time with that person as well. And I for one, learned more about my family by getting in the kitchen with them. Like I learned things about my aunts, my mom that I never knew. And that was super valuable. And I'm glad that I got to do this.
Realness.
All right, Fatty, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Theo, you there?
I'm here.
For introducing authentic realness. Realness.
Hello, everyone. Aaron R. Plush yet again for another episode of our, look at me being inclusive tonight. It's not mine tonight, it's ours. Our Authentic Realness podcast. You can laugh, Theo. I know you think that's funny. Like, I don't know why you're trying to hold that in. So everyone, we are going back to our basics and our foundation. That it's just Theo and I again. And no, we have not gotten rid of Fabby. She's still around. She just is away tonight. And we don't have any authentic realness experts tonight either, because this is a topic that I don't want any distractions. This is a topic that I want to make sure that we all are all in. So I want you to listen a little closer tonight. And certainly, thank you all for the feedback. Yes, I will acknowledge that I've gotten a lot of feedback where you all have been talking trash about Theo and the sound. So Theo, you're going to own that only, sir. No, I'm kidding. I own it as well. Absolutely joking, because certainly this is our podcast and we have been growing and developing and getting better over time. And I pray that the sound quality is at that point of what you all have come to expect from the excellence that comes along with Aaron R. Plush. And if it isn't, we definitely want to receive that feedback as well so that we can continue to get better, because we want to make sure that you all can hear us clearly. But we're going to jump right in tonight. And we all have heard, oh, well, that's easier said than done. And I, Aaron R. Plush, consultant and independent contractor, I'm here to tell you all, not a subscriber. I am certain that it's just as easy to do something as it is to say it. The problem is we don't want to work for it. We have, in some way, shape, form, or fashion, come to a place where we think that we live in a microwave, air fryer society where everything's supposed to happen quickly, and it's supposed to happen when Aaron snaps his fingers, and it's supposed to be done. that God is supposed to be my genie, and I'm supposed to rub this lamp, and he's supposed to come out, and I'm supposed to make my request, and he's supposed to like, bam, it's done. Well, come on out of that fantasy world, because that's not our reality. God happens not to be a genie, and we happen not to live in a microwave or an air fryer world. We live in a world where discipline, hard work, and aligning your thoughts and things with actions lead to success. It's just that simple. If you think about me as a consultant, the reason why I can say in very certain terms that it is just as easy to do something as it is to say it, because that's the core and the foundation and every component of why is my phone should not be happening? How do I even stop this from okay, there we go. Here we go. It's the real life of Aaron Plush yet again. And hopefully the ringing did not distract you all from what we're attempting to do. But it goes back to what I was saying, that all aspects of what I do as a consultant is aligned to exactly what I'm saying. That when we build out with a client, we get beyond the consultation, the first thing that we do is we create an action plan. That particular action plan is one that aligns every step and everything that we have to do in order to ensure that we're able to get to that delivery point of what it is that you, as a client, said that you wanted to do. So if that's resolving a problem, if that's getting you specifically to meeting your supply diversity goals, and we're trying to work out how do we get you to work with more diverse suppliers, and we're building out what that process looks like for you, then it goes in the action plan. We follow all those steps. We set dates. We set deliverables. We set actions. We set who's responsible. And guess what? Over the next 3, 6, 12, 24 months, as we work through these things, it will have been as easy to do it as it was to say it. Because we went in saying, hey, we are going to have you, client ABC, to have increased your supply diversity efforts by 50% within the next year. And we set out to do that. We set our action plan. We get everything done that we need to get done on time, within budget, every I dotted, every T crossed, and it happens. So what's the complexity here? What's the problem? Talk to me, Theo. Where am I delusional here?
It's hard to say because I don't think you are delusional.
But I don't need you agreeing because be like, oh, Theo is drinking the Plush Kool-Aid. Like he agrees with everything Plush says.
No, definitely not. We bump heads on a lot of things, but I don't think you're delusional here.
So where do you think that cliche comes from? That statement, because that statement comes out all the time. Oh, that's easier said than done. Where does that come from? What is that about?
I think that's a conditioning thing.
Okay.
I think it's a conditioning thing to dumb down someone else's work. Mm-hmm. Or dumb down the severity of what's going on.
Okay.
Like, it's easier to say that than to do it. Sometimes it's harder to say it than to do it. You know, it really depends on the perspective and the angle. But I feel like it's a conditioning phrase to dumb down the situation.
I take it further. I think it's an uncertainty thing. I think it's an insecurity thing. And I think it's one of those ones where it's very easy to project. Well, because I am incapable of having this business to be operationally sound. And because I've struggled with making a profit, because I've struggled with being able to hire the right staff, because I've struggled with being able to say that my business is running like a fine old machine, then it's very easy for me to say, oh, that's easier said than done. Because plus you're not working with me. You don't know the people I have. You don't know the inefficiencies of the team. Well, here's the harsh reality. You got to own it. Just as I said that, hey, you all gave feedback that the sound of this podcast was something that needed to improve. Fine. I go back, I go listen, I agree. Theo is my producer. Theo and I work together. We worked on it. We've improved. It's better. And will continually get better because certainly we know that sound and production and video and all those type things just constantly evolve. And we are all about being cutting edge. We're all about being the best of the best of technology and ensuring that when we make the transition from just audio to video, that it's going to be the latest and greatest in clarity, that you can hear us clearly, that you can see us clearly, and that the production is one that I'm able to stand behind, because I can't be here talking all this trash about excellence and wonderful and greatness and all this type of stuff, and I can't even get the sound on my podcast right. I can't get the video on my podcast right. So in turn, I'm about practicing what I preach, but to bring it back to the topic at hand of why we're so quick to say that's easier said than done is because nobody wants to be accountable. Nobody wants to take responsibility to say that I'm going to make it happen. And I'm going to do what I have to do to make it happen, because nobody wants to do the hard work. Everybody wants everything going back to that whole microwave air fryer society. Everything's supposed to be quick and fast. Everything's supposed to be the genie. Everything's supposed to be, it's going to happen within my terms because I say so. Well, yeah, it can happen within your terms because you say so, but you have to put in the work. You have to do the things that you don't want to do. I'm recording 3 episodes tonight. I'm on episode number 2, and I don't want to do this. But I am digging very deep within me because I know that I have a record schedule that is self-imposed, that is non-negotiable for me to be like, oh, well, Theo, let's take a break. We'll start back tomorrow. No, we're not doing that. We're recording all 3 episodes tonight, and all 3 episodes are going to be episodes of excellence, and you all aren't even going to know the 3 that we recorded tonight. Why? Because they're going to sound just as great and amazing as all of the others. Why is that? Because I am willing to do the hard work. As tired as I am, I don't want to do this. I don't. But I know what I've committed to me, and I know what I've committed to you all as my audience. So what am I doing? I'm pushing through. I'm present. I'm clear in mind, and you're getting my absolute best, although I don't want to do this. So I say all of that to say, God, you're funny because you're constantly providing that real content that is such a part of authentic realness that's necessary in order for that light bulb to come on and for people to understand that next time you say, oh, that's easier said than done, check yourself. Because it is just as easy, if not easier, to do it as it is to say it, if you're willing to own it, to be accountable, to be responsible, and to do what you have to do. And the reality of life, newsflash, everything in life you're not going to want to do. Everything in life is not going to feel good. Everything in life is not going to be a courtesy to you where it's going to be comfortable and it's going to be, oh, I'm in my nice, amazing, wonderful loft and I'm just in a great place and, oh, today it's just been spectacular. There are going to be those times like, look, I'm dirt tired. I want to go to bed. I don't want to be on this podcast or anything else. But because I committed to doing it, I'm going to do it, and it's going to be amazing. The end. Point blank.
That's it.
What questions do you have for me, Theo, as to how and why I am able to say with so much confidence that it's just as easy, if not easier, to do something than it is to say it.
I think it's amazing how much words can impact an outcome or a situation or a vantage point.
Okay.
The situation while you were talking and you was kind of looking at it, just went back to a conversation that we had many episodes back where we was talking about affirmations.
Okay.
And how we were using spectacular as always as a means
Sure.
of conversation.
Sure.
And I feel like, even with this topic, it's amazing how words can pretty much give you the outcome of how you're going to tackle a situation. Because I feel like, just that conditional phrasing of it's easier said than done, just having that phrase in the center of your mind when you're about to tackle something, that's the thing that you're going to keep rehearsing in your mind.
Yeah.
And you're pretty much going to set the trajectory
Yeah.
of how you're going to move. So it's amazing how that kind of flows. But I said all that to say, what is your vantage point on, just how just those cliche phrases can mold how you move and how you shake and how you tackle things?
Well, any negative cliche phrase, such as that one, that's easier said than done, and I do see that as being negative, and I see that as being negative because there's so many more ways that we could look at that, and we could be positive about it, and we could take it and spin it in the way that I have and said in very certain terms that we can do this. And notice I've even made it even more of a great condition of just as easy or easier to do something than it is to say it, because I am willing to do what I have to do. It really boils down to, Theo, that we have all of these mindset things that we've accepted, and we just say them to the point that we begin believing them, and they become self-fulfilling prophecies of failure. So we wonder why we're constantly failing, is because we're constantly telling ourselves that we are already failures, that we are constantly using these cliches and these superstitions and this, it's Friday the 13th, or the foolishness of the first time that I recognize that in some buildings that they'll skip the 13th floor and you're on the elevator and you see 12 to 14. Well, when you're logical like me and you're literal like me, and for all those folks who are your 13 fear people, let me go ahead and give you this news flash that's about to just jack your life up. Well, don't stay on that 14th floor, because that's 13. So whether we label it 14 or not, the floor is 13. So you might want to go ahead and go to 12 or 15, but don't go to that 14th floor, because that's 13. And it's just the most bizarre thing ever. It's just bizarre. And in turn, I've stayed in many hotels, I've been in many buildings that had that. But these superstitions, these things that we have that just freeze us, that we're constantly just feeding ourselves foolishness and silly stuff, and we buy into them, and then we make them our norms, and then you get angry with people like, oh my God, he's just so radical, and he just thinks he's so better, and he just thinks he knows so much. No, I don't think anything you do. I know. Yep. And what I know is that you have to be confident in this life. You have to be definitive in this life. You have to know that there's so much more to be positive that's going to impact your success. In all of these layoffs that are going on, and the number of folks that were out jobs and all those type things, surely there's a sting. Yes, you go through your sea of emotions. Yes, go through every phase you need to go through, but please be positive. Because let me tell you, when you take that negativity and that, that's easier said than done into that interview, that's the energy you're going to take. And when you don't get that job, It wasn't because you weren't qualified. It wasn't because you didn't have the skill set. It's because people hire who they like. Newsflash. You didn't know that? Here's something else Aaron Plush is telling you. People like folks, and they hire those folks. Now, yes, you have to have the bottom line credentials. But when I'm interviewing you, I'm identifying, are you going to fit with my team? Are you and I going to be able to work well together? Are you going to be somebody that I want to work with? Now, I'm not looking for friends, and I'm not looking to hang out with you. But I am looking to, are you going to be a disruption to this team? And if you're coming into an interview where we all know that the most significant part of an interview is to bring your best face, to bring your best self, to bring your positivity. And I saw a wonderful article on LinkedIn today, and I so loved it. And I want to address it here as well, because the young lady talked about there being a component of, we all talk about bringing your authentic self to work. And she's like, oh, that's great. That's wonderful. But there are some things that are authentically not appropriate for work. And those things need to stay at home. And I totally agree. And that's a part of what the messaging of authentic realness is. It's not so much about take me or leave me for who I am, because appropriateness still yet has to reign supreme. And in reigning supreme, there's just certain things that you would do at the house with your family personally that you just wouldn't do at work, and you shouldn't do them. So I loved her phrasing of that, is that, sure, bring your authentic self to work that's appropriate. And certainly that appropriateness is a very loose term, and it is one that's up to interpretation. But we also know that there's some standards that we all should have for church, the workplace, the supermarket, or any place else that you're going. And it's not about the standards of, oh, those people or of the elite. It's just, let's be respectful. So I say all of that to say, in very certain terms, let's leave these negative cliches, these negative thoughts behind us. Let's graduate. Let's take a step forward. Let's leap forward. Let's begin to talk about the fact that, yes, it is just as easy or easier to do that than it is to say that, and I'm going to make it happen. And I'm going to make it happen because I am willing to do what I have to do with my team, with other people, to go out and get the resources that I need. Whatever the case might be, this is going to happen. So that is my answer to your question, brother.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. So many gems. I mean, you've laid it out so clear.
It's a preaching moment. It was a definite preaching moment.
I'll put you in E flat.
Definitely a preaching moment.
I think
Anything else?
Here, brother.
Oh, so you're done. No other questions.
Yeah, I think we should wrap here with this one.
Okay. So in conclusion for me, I tell you all in very certain terms that as I am very intentional in what I'm doing, I wanted to be very clear that I am a subscriber. Look at me. I'm finally subscribing to something. How often have I said to you all, I'm not a subscriber of that, but I'm subscribing to this. I'm subscribing that it is just as easy or easier to do things as it is to say it. And when it comes to me as a consultant, an independent contractor, there are 8 things that I can certainly do. Say that again. There are 8 things that I can certainly do in a way that it's easier for me to do these things than it is for me to say it. And the only way that you would know that is when you bring me on to be your consultant. That is going to be your program and project manager. That's going to be your contingent labor and workforce manager. That's going to be your management consultant that is going to provide chief of staff services to you. That's going to be your operations manager. That's going to be your supplier diversity manager. That's going to be your motivational speaker who's going to talk each and every time about hope and encouragement and motivation. Those are the mantras of what I always speak about. So get me for that speaking engagement. It can be in person, it can be virtual, it can be whatever creative aspect that we need to come up with. But I'm excited to be able to implore folks that greatness is within them. And then lastly, voiceover work, voice services. I'm embracing my voice. I'm stretching my voice. You all have heard it in so many different ways. And this platform is allowing you all to see that I'm beyond capable of doing voice work for you. And that's voice work in any way. That's if you have a commercial you're doing, if that's you have something in your professional setting where you need to do a video and you need a voice. It could be as simple as, hey, Plush, record this for me for a gift for somebody. Whatever the case might be, I am utilizing all the gifts and talents that God has given me to be able to make the world a better place and to position me to be able to do things in an easy way or easier way than it is to say it. And certainly you all gotta love, because I surely love how God worked that out. Like just the excellence and creativity of how God had that all just come together just now. That's one of the ones I can't even be excited after the call with Theo. Like, ooh, God, I gotta say this now. Ooh, God worked that out. And this is one of those moments where as much as I didn't want to do this, ooh, I'm excited now. And that's why it's so important to push through. Because when you push through is when you sometimes have your best work. So it's not about what you feel like doing. It's not about, oh, I don't feel like going to the gym tonight. It's not, oh, I know I shouldn't have this ice cream, but I'm going to have it anyway. No, don't have it. Because some of us have a class reunion coming up in July, and some of us have some clothes that we bought intentionally that's in the size that we know we got to get to by July. And some of us are going to do it because some of us kind of know how this works. And that some of us would be me. But what I have committed to is my brother, Jermaine, and this is my biological brother. He always talks about, oh, we know when a party is coming up. We know when a major event is coming up because somebody's in the gym and somebody's working out. You see it. Well, sir, newsflash to you, John Jermaine. Your boy is in the gym. And come July, around that time will be when the new headshot comes. It'll be when we'll go to video because image is everything. So I bring all of that full circle to say in very certain terms, it is just as easy or easier to do it. And notice that it for tonight was services, anything in life, working out, and all the other topics that Theo and I talked about. And God, you're amazing. I love you, Lord. Because this episode reminds me back to what Pastor Bernstein said years ago at the Mount Lebanon Baptist Church in Brooklyn when I moved to New York in 2005 and became a member there. And in his book, he talks about how for ministers and preachers that oftentimes their sermons are more so for them than they are for the congregation when they are willing to listen. This episode was for me. So thank you all for being active listeners to an episode that has freed me. And in the infinite wisdom of the God that I serve and the God that I know and the God that I love, I know this episode is going to free plenty of other folks. So enjoy it, bask in it, and know for certain that we together will conclude that it is just as easy, if not easier, to do it than it is to say it. And thank you, Nike, yet again, for that just do it mantra and phrase. It's just been a part of most of my life. And yes, I've been a Nike guy my entire life, but that just do it has even been more important to me than the swoosh itself. So in that, what an episode. Let's go to the Lord. Let's look to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father God, what a tremendous episode, God. God, we just thank you for this episode tonight, because certainly this is one where I was completely vulnerable and transparent. I did not want to record this. But God, you honor faithfulness. You made it clear that tonight was the night that 3 episodes were going to be recorded. And God, just thank you for giving me the energy, the know-how, the wherewithal to be able to push through and to do it. Because certainly, God, you have blessed this episode in such a tremendous way. God, I'd ask that you would allow this episode to be received in a way that it touches ears that none of the other episodes have touched yet. God, that you will continue to expand our territory, that you would continue to allow this to be a beacon of light in this dark world. And though we're focusing on corporate professional stuff, that yes, because you've created this platform, that I can talk to you, God, in any way that I'd like to talk to you in a corporate setting. And God, I pray that this will give other people the boldness to know that, yes, you can acknowledge our Father in the workplace. No, you don't have to shove him down the throat of anybody else who's a non-believer or doesn't believe. No, I don't want to hear that God stuff. But you can be bold and you can profess the kingdom of God and how wonderful and tremendous he is, because he is the one and only source of all. God, I'd ask that you would just continue to bless all of the listeners, that you would continue to be with us, that you would allow us to grow and develop together, and that you would allow us to be as inclusive as possible, that this is our Authentic Realness podcast. So God, we love you. We adore you. We amplify you. And we come before you in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen. And amen. Ooh. Thank you, Lord. Now, to the listeners, our reminder that each and every one of these episodes of our Authentic Realness podcast, ARP,
Realness.
the most significant and greatest part is each and every one of you, because there is no podcast without you all. And I just want to say thank you. And in our true ending fashion, as we always do, until next time, that's all, folks.